joining us this afternoon for the third of our 2-hour webinars. The first hour today is related to employee benefits, and we're pleased to have with us today Todd Thompson. Todd previously worked for the Standard and worked for them for many years. The Standard is our provider for our 401k plan, and we thought it was timely and important to have a presenter who could talk to our clients and our contacts about employee benefit plans and opportunities for employee benefit plans in terms of strategies that employers can use. Todd has worked with employers and consultants on plan design, product innovations, sales and marketing, and profitability strategies. He has 25 years of experience in working with retirement plans and investments, including interactions with participants, plan sponsors, and fiduciaries. Todd is going to talk about the triple stack match in particular, and then he's also going to address some other topics, including new comparability or cross-testing. I always call it new comparability, but I know the proper term is cross-testing, which allows employers to put higher contributions in for certain employees. So without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Todd. As Mary Lou mentioned, as questions come up, please submit those. Todd's indicated that he's more than willing to address any questions that folks have as he goes through his presentation or at the end of his presentation.
Thank you, John. And again, as John stated, I am very happy to answer questions throughout the presentation. You don't have to wait till the end. We're talking today about triple stack match brought to you by the Standard. And I can't thank you, John, enough for allowing us to make this presentation and the Standard. And you're very fortunate to have one of the top 401k wholesalers and retirement plan consultants in the industry in your backyard, Mike Sperduto. So I hope you get a chance to talk to him and get a chance to leverage his knowledge in this process. Now, I think it's kind of funny. We built this presentation back in June, so I will apologize right up front. It's 2021 numbers, not 2022, but one of the handouts that we're making available to you is the 2022 information. And we're in the process of updating this presentation with the 2022 information. And so anybody that is in today's presentation will have the updated presentation made available to them. But as you can see, we've got shipping containers. And what do you know? We've got thousands of shipping containers sitting offshore waiting to be put into harbor and delivered via truck when available. So kind of interesting. Triple stack match is a plan design that's been around for a very long time. It's nothing new, yet it's something most people are unaware of and unfamiliar with. So we wanted to bring this to your attention because in spite of the fact, as John stated, this is kind of an exotic plan design. It's not for everyone. It's not even for a large portion of plans, but there are a certain number of plans that may have the rights, may have the right situation, the facts and circumstances where triple stack match makes the most sense for their company. So let's take a look at it. So the triple stack match is a plan design tool, but unlike new comparability, which John brought up, or cross-testing, unlike age-weighted retirement plans or Social Security integration, this plan is based entirely on match. So instead of everyone getting a contribution from the employer, only those that defer into the plan are eligible for a contribution on the employer's basis. Completely based on deferrals, again, and matching contributions, not non-elective, not profit sharing. If you don't participate and defer your own money into the plan, you're not eligible for any of the employer contributions. But it may be a way to help certain employers maximize their contributions or get as close to what's called the Section 415 limits, which went up $3,000 for 2022. They're up to $61,000 And again, that chart is made available to you if you would like it. So let's talk about some of the ideal scenarios. Who would be a good fit for this kind of a plan design? Well, obviously owners that want to maximize retirement contributions, but can't for one reason or another, whether it's poor participation or et cetera, et cetera. New comparability, age-weighted, Social Security integration are still great plan designs. And definitely you want to take a look at those to see if those would be a better solution than triple stack match would be. The Standard and Mike Sperduto are more than happy to provide illustrations based upon your specific facts and circumstances to help you determine whether triple stack match or some other form of plan design is the best fit for your company. Too often we see S corporations where business owners are taking very limited W-2 compensation, and they're funneling the majority of their income into S corp earnings. And they do that for tax purposes, and it makes perfect sense, with the exception of the retirement plan, because the retirement plan contributions have to be considered with W-2 wages. You can't look at them in terms of total wages or total income that the company made, just the W-2 earnings, or W-2 compensation, excuse me. And for that reason, many S corps could take advantage of triple stack match and really leverage what it can bring to the table. Another scenario is plans that have low participation. The average participation rate in the United States today is 71%. It's 82% if you have automatic enrollment built into your plan. But many plans today are less than 50% participation. Again, if employers are looking to try and maximize contributions, whether it's for the ownership group themselves, highly compensated employees, key employees, whatever the case may be, the triple stack match may be the right solution. Corrective distributions. What are those? Well, corrective distributions are where at the end of the year, when you're testing a plan, you find out that the highly compensated group has contributed too much money with respect to how much the non-highly compensated employees have contributed. And that triggers corrective distributions. And nothing angers a highly compensated employee more than, well, I shouldn't say that, but it can be upsetting to a highly compensated employee to get a corrective distribution when they were counting on putting X amount of money away into their retirement plan, only to be told they can't, and they have to take some money back and pay taxes on it on top of it, unless it was Roth contributions. That can be disturbing. So this may be a solution to help with that as well. Finally, if the company wants a unique recruitment and retention tool, triple stack match makes a lot of sense. It's amazing today how many employers are struggling to find employees. I was working last week with a potato chip manufacturer, and they had 3 shifts running 24 hours a day, every day. And over COVID, they went down to 1 shift because so many employees quit. They went to work somewhere else or didn't go to work at all. I don't know, but they were struggling to try and find a way. How can we recruit new talent? How can we retain the people we have today? And we talked about triple stack match. Now, that may or may not be the right solution for them or for any of you, but it certainly is a way to help with recruitment and retention of employees in a very difficult employment market like we're in today. So here we come to our first poll. So based upon what we talked about so far, which plan designs do not rely on an employer non-elected or profit-sharing contribution? Here's your chance to answer the poll. Give it about 15 more seconds, and we'll take a look at our results. And the results are in. So we can see 14.8% of people believed it was age-weighted. Age-weighted is a plan design where the contributions made by the employer are based on the age of the employee and how close they are to whatever the designated retirement age is. It can be as low as age 55 in most circumstances, unless it's a 403B or 457, and then it can be even lower. It can be as high as age 65 or 67 in today's world. Integration with Social Security got 11.4% of the votes. What that is, integration with Social Security is a plan design whereby people that make over the Social Security wage base are entitled to a larger contribution from the employer than those that are under the Social Security wage base. New Comparability got 7.1% of the vote. That is a profit sharing contribution where you can designate your employees into certain classes and then make different contributions depending on what class they're in. But 66.7% of those that voted for triple stack match. And good news, that was the correct answer. Triple stack match is the only one of these 4 plan designs that is based on a matching contribution and does not involve the employer making a contribution for all eligible employees through profit sharing, or what legally is called non-elective contributions. So congratulations to the 66.7% of you that voted for triple stack match. So how does it work? Well, triple stack match is just what it sounds like. It's how the name is implied. So you have 3 different matching contributions. The first one is a safe harbor match. It's typically up to 4%. It could be up to 6%, but typically it's set up 100% match of all employer contributions up to 4% of their compensation. The second match is a fixed match. That match can be based on deferrals as well. It has to be designated before the plan year starts or as soon as administratively possible. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But that fixed match, which is designated ahead of the plan year, is notified to the employees through a written notice as to what that match is going to be. But it's typically 100% of contributions up to 6% of their compensation. The third match is a discretionary match, and that match may or may not happen depending on what the needs of the company are and what they're trying to achieve, and doesn't have to be made until the end of the year. That is a completely discretionary match. It can be up to 66 2/3 of what the employee defers with a maximum of 6%. Now you probably say, I see this 6% on the screen. Why is it set at 6%? Well, it's set at 6% because if you go over 6%, you blow up the safe harbor feature built within the plan. And that's certainly something you don't want to do. That's one of the magic pieces of not only a safe harbor plan, but triple stack match when it comes to a plan design, is you don't want to exceed 6% of contributions. So that brings us to our next poll. Which employer matching contributions are determined before the start of the plan year? So we'll give you about 30 seconds to come up with the answer. All right, let's take a look at our results. So 48.3% said safe harbor match, 58.2% said the fixed match, and 5% said the discretionary match. So we'll start at the bottom with the discretionary match. Again, that can be determined after the end of the plan year It is completely discretionary and does not need to be determined before the start of the plan year. The safe harbor match, correct answer. And the reason behind that is you have to declare to your employees that you are going to have a safe harbor plan before the beginning of the plan year or as soon as administratively possible. I talked on the last slide about getting into administratively possible. Well, the laws specifically state a certain time frame, and the time frame is 60 days before the beginning of the plan year. However, there's that little caveat that says, or as soon as administratively possible. So it is possible for an employer who has a calendar year plan right now to elect to go to a triple stack match plan design if they want to for next year. And in spite of the fact they don't have 60 days of notification, it's still as soon as administratively possible. It's a decision that if made today, in spite of the fact there isn't 60 days before January 1, can still be made today. Employees can still be notified because it's as soon as administratively possible. There's also the opportunity, and we'll probably talk a little bit more about this after we get through the triple stack match presentation, to talk about different ways for employers to take advantage of fiscal versus calendar year plans. The fixed match, which 58.2% of you said that is the right answer, that is also correct. The fixed match needs to be determined and communicated to the employees before the beginning of the plan year, or as soon as administratively possible. But typically, if you as an employer or you as a CPA are guiding one of your customers with a triple stack match type of plan design or a safe harbor plan design, you do have that as soon as administratively possible window to take advantage of. But you certainly don't want to wait any longer than you need to. But unlike some people may tell you that you have to have 60 days, you really don't. Nobody is going to get hurt by having a safe harbor plan. Nobody's going to get hurt by having a triple stack match plan design. It's only going to help them, and they're only going to benefit by it. And I want to apologize right now, before I go on to the next slide, that I've been talking, which I'm famous for doing, and I haven't been paying attention to the Q&A box. So if you do have a question, again, I'll try and do a better job at answering those as we go along. So let's take a look at an example. Again, one of the most powerful candidates for a triple stack match plan design is somebody that's filing as an S corporation, yet they have substantial income above and beyond what they're taking in W-2 wages. So in this particular scenario, you've got a company where the two owners are only taking $75,000 a year in W-2 income. Everything else is coming through as S-Corp income. How can we help them? Well, when you look at this particular plan design, owner one is deferring in 2021 their maximum $19,500, plus, because owner number one is over the age of 50, deferring another $6,500. So total deferrals, $26,000. That entitles them to the basic match of $3,000, a discretionary match of $3,000, and then the fixed match of $4,500, getting them up to $36,500 in total deferrals between company contributions and their own personal deferrals, while only taking $75,000 in W-2 wages. Owner two is very similar, with the exception of when we put this illustration together, owner two was not age 50 or turning age 50 in 2021, so they weren't able to take advantage of the catch-up contributions, and so they had to defer $6,500 less. Then you can see four basic employees and how much they were deferring and how much they were entitled to. Now at the bottom, you can see on the graph, you can see that the total owner contributions were 79% of total dollars in the door. The total employee cost was 21%. The magic number to determine whether triple stack match, new comparability, age weighted, et cetera, all the other different types of exotic plan designs work, is the ownership group should be getting at least 70%. Now, in some cases, it's not just the ownership group, it's the ownership group and the highly compensated employees. And let's not look at this as just because we only have 6 people here. The triple stack match or any of these plan designs only work for small companies. We've set up companies with 600 employees utilizing different types of exotic plan designs, not necessarily triple stack match. The last one was new comparability that I set up. And I certainly think that any of these plan designs could be the right plan design, but they're not limited to a small company. So please don't misunderstand that. We're just trying to show you something that'll fit all on one slide. So let's take a look at another thing. What tax filing status benefits the most from an employer-sponsored retirement plan utilizing triple stack match? Again, we'll give you about 30 seconds to answer the poll. And here are the results. 18.3% of respondents said it was a C Corp. 3.4% said sole proprietor. 2.9% said partnership. Yet the majority of people responded that it was S Corp, 75.5%, and you are correct. And again, the reason behind that is when you look at a retirement plan and what you're able to contribute, it's based on your W-2 wages, not your total income. And so owners that are filing as an S corporation, while they enjoy the benefits of filing as an S corp, the disadvantage comes at the retirement contribution side where they can't contribute based on total earnings, only on their W-2 wages. So congratulations to all of you that made up that 75.5%. and voted for S Corporation. That was the correct answer. So let's take a look at another scenario. A company that has low participation. Companies with low participation, they could make profit sharing or non-elective contributions and help offset some of the issues they have because of the low participation with the rank and file employees. But that may or may not be what they really want to do. In many cases, employers feel, well, if my employees don't care about their own retirement, why should I? Why should I give them money for nothing if they're not even willing to save on their own? That's a scenario where triple stack match may be a better plan design. Again, as we talked about before, there are so many different types of plan designs, and too often we focus on it's safe harbor, it's not safe harbor, and we stop there. But working with a guy like Mike Sperduto, you can find out whether there's some other type of plan design. It could be triple stack match. It could be Social Security integration, age weighted, new comparability. There could be a ton of different plan designs that they can take advantage of. Thank you, Philip, for your comment. Appreciate it. I will definitely have the standard check into that. And as I mentioned before, we are updating our presentation to incorporate 2022 contribution limits. And so we'll definitely take a look at the question you raised on on this table. So thank you very much. In this particular situation, we're talking about gross compensation limits of $290,000. Those are going up to $305,000 next year. So what that means is, regardless of how much money you make, regardless of what you're filing, whether it's S Corp, C Corp, et cetera, in 2021, they'll only consider your first $290,000 in compensation with respect to deferring money or matching or profit sharing into a retirement plan. Next year, that's going up to $305,000. One of the attachments that's being made available to you includes the 2022 limits. So thank you, Mike Sperduto, for doing that. In this particular situation, you can see we have the owners that are maxing out, making more than the gross compensation limits, and what they're able to do from a retirement plan deferral standpoint. As you can see, they're still deferring 26 and 19.5 as they did in our last illustration. However, the basic match, discretionary match, fixed match change because instead of being an S Corp and only taking $75,000 in W-2 wages, they're claiming the full maximum allowable limit in 2021, according to the IRS, of $290,000. That allows owner one to get up to $64,500. It allows owner two to get up to $58,000. And if you look at the table below that, 92 cents on the dollar is going to the ownership group, not necessarily, with only 8% going to the employees that are deferring in this specific example. As we've talked about in the past, all this is based on facts and circumstances. So one of the handouts that's made available to you is a flyer that has these three illustrations on it. So whether you're one of the customers on the call, one of the employers on the call, or you're one of the CPAs on the call, you can use that as a reference tool to say, this may or may not work for us. By contacting Mike Sperduto, he can run actual live illustrations for you based upon the actual facts and circumstances of your particular situation to help you determine, is triple stack match the right solution? Is it age weighted? Is it Social Security integration? Is it new comparability? Is it something else? He can run those specific situations. Again, thanks, Philip, for your follow-up commentary. So here's our next poll. True or false? Plans with poor participation are not good candidates for a triple stack match. We'll give you about 30 seconds to answer the poll question. While you're answering the poll question, in this dead silence, I'll bring up a story one of my friends recently told me that is on the professional speaking circuit. And he said 20 seconds is a lifetime. So I'm giving you 30 seconds. It probably seems like forever, and I apologize for that. But I do want to make sure everybody has an opportunity to answer the question the way they feel fit. So let's look at the results. 36.9% say it's true. 63.1% say it's false. So true or false, plans with poor participation are not good candidates for a triple stack match plan design. The correct answer is false. So the ones that answered 63.1%, congratulations, you got the answer correct. Plans with poor participation are great candidates for this type of plan design. So if you have poor participation in your current plan, or you know of somebody that has poor participation in the retirement plan, triple stack match is definitely one of the plan designs that should be taken into consideration. So we got a bunch of questions that are popping up here. One of them says poll questions are no longer appearing while the first ones did. My apologies. I'm not sure where the technology is failing us in these polling questions, but my apologies. Stephen asks, could this be used as a more tax advantageous means of increasing employee compensation as opposed to traditional raises? Absolutely. Definitely. At the end of the day, though, the employee has to elect to defer their own money into the plan to take advantage of all three matching contributions the employer would make. So it would need a little bit of coaching, a little bit of education, and that's certainly something the standard is outstanding at providing. Whether it's Mike Sperduto himself or the local education specialist, they're top notch. Pennsylvania is a great state for us, and not that we don't operate in all states, because we do, but the standard is really good at increasing participation in retirement plans, educating employees on the benefits of saving for their own retirement, and making sure that their retirement outcomes are as favorable as possible. So let's take a look at our third example. I like to call this the worst case scenario. So we know that the matching contributions, both the fixed one that's offered before the beginning of the year, the safe harbor match, which have to be communicated before the start of the plan year or as soon as administratively possible, and then the discretionary match that can be made after the end of the plan year, really give employees an awesome opportunity to receive some very generous matching contributions by employers. When we look at this particular scenario, and Lisa, I'll get your question in a second. When we get to this scenario, this is, well, what if everybody catches on? And again, we're only looking at a small company, 6 employees, 2 owners of the 6. So facts and circumstances may change depending on the scenario of your company or your customer's company, your client's company. But in many cases, regardless, you look at this, and again, the magic number is we want to see the most important group of employees. In this case, it's just the 2 owners, but it could include highly compensated employees as well, getting at least 70 cents of every dollar the employer is contributing in matching contributions. And here we have the same scenario as the one we looked at before, with the exception of all employees are deferring 6% or more of their income. And yet the employer is still getting 84 cents on the dollar. So it's still a successful plan design, even if all the employees defer 6% or more a year. So Lisa asked, sole proprietor has no 401k in place currently. He has 1 employee. He would like to set up a 401k plan, but knows the employee would not contribute. I've read about SBO 401ks. Is it correct in thinking that an SBO 401k is for the owner only and no requirement for participation by an employee, and no requirement for owner to make contributions on employee's behalf? The answer to that is no. In this particular situation, where you have 1 owner and 1 employee, if the employee does not defer and the plan is not safe harbor, the employer will not be able to contribute on his or her own behalf either. So that would, at a bare minimum, have to be a safe harbor plan. But I can't think of a better scenario for a triple stack match than a scenario where the owner wants to max out contributions in spite of the fact the employee does not want to contribute anything at all on their own behalf. So then, as long as it's safe harbor and it follows the guidelines established under the triple stack match, the owner is going to be able to contribute based on facts and circumstances up to the contribution limits for 2022. So it is definitely something you may want to take a look at, Lisa, and I encourage you to work with your CPAs and Mike Sperduto at the standard in trying to establish whether the facts and circumstances that you have make an ideal situation for your company or somebody you know. So we get to another poll. So how many matches are required if the triple stack match plan design is utilized? How many matches are required if the triple stack match plan design is utilized? We'll give you a few more seconds to cast your answer. And let's see where the results came in. Triple stack match kind of gives it away. There are 3 matches. 2 are required. 1 is discretionary. So those of you that answered 3, yeah, kind of technically got it right, 60.9%. Those of you that answered 2 aren't technically wrong because, yes, indeed, the triple stack match plan design does incorporate a 3rd match that can be made after the plan you're in and is completely discretionary. In other words, you don't technically have to make that 3rd match. So those that answered 2, that 21.4% of you, are completely correct. I'd like to call out, we also got another comment out of Tim. If employee is only full-time employee, your answer may differ. You are 100% correct. What we try and do is provide a few scenarios for you to consider here today, but depending on the actual facts and circumstances of the individual situation with the individual company, those facts and circumstances could make triple stack match the right plan design, or it could confirm it's not the right plan design, and there's a better plan design to take advantage of. So you're 100% correct. And then we've got one more. Let's see here. It disappeared on me. So Dennis, I think it was you that sent in a question, but it disappeared. If you wouldn't mind re-inputting that would be appreciated. I'd be happy to answer that question. So please keep in mind this presentation was really designed and built for financial advisors. So these questions are not really relevant to the audience that's on board today. But the questions I would ask you to consider is take a look, if you're one of the CPAs that's on the call today, take a look at the companies that are filing as S-Corps. Are they being limited to how much they're able to defer into the retirement plan when they'd really like to defer a lot more money? If so, they may be a candidate for triple stack match. Or are they getting corrective distributions on a regular basis because the highly compensated employees, the ownership group, is contributing too much in comparison to the non-highly compensated employees? If so, they may be a great candidate. Or if it's a company that just has low participation, that could also be a great candidate for this. Again, the facts and circumstances change with every company you look at, but there's nobody better than Mike Sperduto to help you down that road and taking a look at not only triple stack match, but other types of plan designs that may be the right solution for you or your customers. So again, who do we want to target? Who do you want to look at? If you're filing as an S corporation, you should be taking a look at this type of plan design. It may not be the right plan design for you, but if you give us an opportunity at the standard to take a look at the facts and circumstances with your company, provide you illustrations. They're no cost. It doesn't cost you anything to get these illustrations to see, is this a better plan design for your opportunity? Or if you have poor participation, or you're experiencing corrective distributions, not necessarily every year, but more often than you'd like, then maybe you want to take a look at this. And again, it's not, here's your triple stack match plan design. It's, we took a look at your census data. We ran a triple stack match plan design, but maybe based upon your census, we're looking at new comparability. We're looking at Social Security integration. We're looking at age-weighted or some other form of plan design as well to try and find the right solution for you or your customer's organization. So some key considerations that you should think about. We've tried to simplify the approach to triple stack match. It's a complex, it's an exotic plan design, but hopefully today, while we don't expect you to remember everything you heard or everything you saw on the screen, a light bulb goes off in some of your minds that, wow, I wonder if this would be a better solution for our company or our customer's company. And again, Mike Sperduto can run all those illustrations for you. He's one of the best the standard has in the entire company. But some key considerations. Remember, this isn't affected by the employer or the employee age, where many of the other plan designs have an age element to them. Even new comparability takes into account age. So this is kind of unique in itself that it doesn't take into account anybody's age, whether you're an employer or an employee. Also, the provisions must be in place before the start of the plan year or as soon as administratively possible. So depending on who you're working with to do the administration on your plan, whether it's a full service basis or you're utilizing the assistance of a third-party administrator, typically the provisions must be in place before the start of the plan year or as soon as administratively possible. The first stack is 100% vested after 1 year of service. And what we're talking about there is the safe harbor match that an employer would make. That is 100% vested. You can't have more than 1 year of service requirement to vest that safe harbor contribution, which again is typically 100% of contributions an employee makes up to 4% of their income, W-2 income. So again, when we're talking S-Corps, we're only counting W-2 income. Stacks 2 and 3 can have up to a 6-year graded vesting schedule on the, my apologies for not turning my ringer off. Stacks 2 and 3 can have up to a 6-year graded vesting schedule, and it's very common that they always do. None of the stack matches can require 1,000 hours of work, and that's pretty important when it comes down to plan design, because if you think 50-week year with 2 weeks of vacation, 20 hours a week times 50 weeks is 1,000 hours. But more important, if you start thinking about seasonal businesses where they only employ people for portions of the year, whether it's a farming operation and they only employ people during the planting and harvest seasons, or some other seasonal type of business, you can't require 1,000 hours of work. You can only require 500. So that is something that's important in taking into consideration whether the triple stack match is the right plan design for you or your customer. Every participant must receive a safe harbor notice. Typically, that's 60 days before the beginning of the plan year. However, the key phrase is, or as soon as administratively possible. And again, like I've said throughout this entire presentation, the circumstances, the facts and circumstances of the individual company may dictate this is not the appropriate plan design. But that doesn't mean it's not worth looking at to see if it is, because maybe it is. Or maybe the experts at the standard can find a different plan design that will better meet the needs of your company or your customer's company. So I know it's a little blurry on the screen right now, and I apologize for that. But one of the PDFs that you are going to have access to is the triple stack match flyer. So it's just a one-page piece, front and back. You can get hard copies if you want it through Mike's Perduto. Otherwise, you can download a copy of this at your discretion. It goes through the 3 illustrations we went through earlier today. But again, it's not going to address your specific company's needs or your customers or clients' needs. We really need to take a look at the individual facts and circumstances of each individual case to determine whether triple stack match is the right answer or perhaps a different plan design. But we're happy to do so. And it's not something we charge you for. So I encourage you to work with us to help make sure that you're utilizing the right plan design. Now, this is our disclosure slide. And I would tell you, normally we don't talk about what's on the disclosure slide, but look at the first sentence. Employers and plan participants should contact their own legal and tax advisors to learn more about the rules that may affect their individual situations. The standard doesn't provide legal advice. We don't provide tax advice. You're on this call for a specific reason. Whether you're a member of the firm or you're a client of the firm, you're on here because you love the firm you're working with. And they are the people that you should be talking to determine what the right type of plan design is for you and your organization, not us. We can run illustrations, we can help you, but you definitely need to work with your tax advisors to find out what the right plan design is for you, because they'll know all the facts and circumstances. We may have a census, we may be able to run illustrations, but we're not necessarily going to have all the right situations. So there's 2 other things I want to talk to you about today. And one of those is new comparability. You've heard me mention that several times. And John would like me to expand on that a little bit more. So I'm going to expand on it a little bit more. New comparability is a plan design that requires employer contributions to all eligible employees. You can't have a 1,000-hour requirement. You can have a year-end requirement where if they're not employed at the end of the year, they're not eligible for the contribution as well. But what you do is you basically divide your employees up into different classes. The really interesting part is if you're a C corporation, you can create a class for each individual employee. That gives you the flexibility to give some employees a larger contribution than other employees with respect to their income. Now, there are some rules around it, but within those rules, you could reward different employees with different annual contributions. So I'll just throw a quick scenario at you. Let's just simplify things and say it's a car dealership, and you want to separate it by departments. You have sales, you have office, you have service, and you have your body shop. Your body shop knocks the windows out, has a great year, and really contributes to your bottom line. So you decide you want to give them 5% of their W-2 wages. Where service had a bad year. So you don't want to give them 5%. You want to give them something less. And the same with sales, same with office staff. You can actually reward different employees in different classes. And if you're a C Corp, you can put each employee in their own individual class, which creates the ultimate flexibility. Again, there are some rules around new comparability. You can't give one person 10% of compensation, another person 0. They don't allow things like that. But again, based upon the facts and circumstances of who you want to reward, and that can change every year. It's not something you put in stone and are committed to for a long period of time. You make your decision annually on who you want to reward and who you don't and how much within the federal guidelines. But we'd be happy to run an illustration for you to help you see and understand the flexibility you could have if that's something that you wanted to do. The last type of plan design I'd like to visit is for those of you that may have a simple IRA out there. Too often employers that have simple plans, whether they go over 100 employees, they can't offer it next year, or they just want to contribute more than they can in a simple plan, and so they want to go to more of a conventional 401k plan, are told that, hey, it's too late. You had to have it in place by October 1st. You had to have it in place 90 days. Otherwise, you can't use it for the 2021 plan year. That's not true. There's what's called a sandwich safe harbor. The sandwich safe harbor plan design, you could start up a 401k plan for the 2021 plan year on December 1 if you wanted to. How it works and why they call it a sandwich safe harbor is you run it on a fiscal year. So in my hypothetical scenario, it would be December 1 to December 1. Then you would run a short plan year. That's where I like to say, remember the old Wendy's commercial, where's the beef? Because your second plan year would be December 1 to December 31st. And then you would go back onto a calendar year operation. Well, why do you want to get back on a calendar year operation? Well, when you have a fiscal year plan, you have to test it both on a fiscal year and a calendar year basis. So the testing costs are a little bit higher. But if it's a situation where you really want to have a 401k plan for 2021 or a profit sharing plan or something along those lines, you can still do it under the sandwich safe harbor plan rules. Again, facts and circumstances may make it a great idea for your company. It may make it a really bad idea for your company too. But that's where the standard comes in. Their team of experts combined with your tax experts can help run illustrations to determine what may or may not be a good idea based upon your needs and your company's needs. I appreciate all your time today. I appreciate Mike Sperduto for sponsoring today. At this point in time, thank you, John, for introducing me and allowing me to be a part of this webinar, and Mary Lou for all the hard work you put into this. I'd like to turn it over to Carissa at this point in time.